Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be talking about an anime called Problem Children Are Coming From Another World, Aren't They? Choosing to leave behind everything in pursuit of their personal goals, human teenagers Izayoi, Asuka and Yo are transported to an alternate reality, the Little Garden, where different races with different powers or gifts reside. There they meet Black Rabbit, a girl with rabbit ears, making her a judge master that enforces rules and order due to being servants of the Little Garden's creator. She explains the place's logic to them. The Little Garden revolves around gift games that challenge players with games of varying danger while betting something in exchange for rewards if they win. Black Rabbit also invites them into her own community of players. Making their way to a rural village in the east, Black Rabbit leaves Asuka and Yo with her community's leader, Jin, after noticing Izayoi separated from them in search of fun. As the rest wait for Black Rabbit and Izayoi's return over some drinks, they're approached by a mysterious man named Gaspar, a beast man who's also the leader of a community. He invites the girls to join his community along with Black Rabbit. To convince them, he makes fun of how Jin's community was forced to become a no-name after losing an undeniable challenge from the tyrannical demon lords of the Little Garden, resulting in the community losing their formal name and banner. This has left the remaining members to be Jin, Black Rabbit and around 120 children with ages 10 and below, making winning their banner and name back difficult. At the same time, Black Rabbit, finding Izayoi after he defeats a water god, explains their situation to him in the hopes the three can help, and he agrees. Asuka, suspicious of Gaspar's claim that his community has won all gift games that involve staking their banner, uses her gift to command him to reveal how. It turns out that Gaspar has kidnapped women and children from other communities to subdue and blackmail them into doing their bidding, however breaking his promises and killing them off eventually. Infuriated, the girls challenge him to a gift game the next day. After Izayoi and Black Rabbit reunite with the others, the group visits Shiroyasha, a demon lord from the Thousand Eyes, an extremely large trade community, to appraise the children's gifts. Unlike others of her kind, Shiroyasha has chosen to use her strength for peace, becoming the Floor Master or Guardian of the east side of the Little Garden. They decide to challenge her to a gift game that Yo wins by befriending a griffin and overcoming its trial, using her gift of taking the powers of other animals she's befriended to ultimately save herself. From Shiroyasha, the three learn that they come from different times on Earth and earn gift cards that can store their gifts and list their names, with Izayoi stating unknown. By beating the water god, Izayoi receives an endless water supply from a water tree that he lets the no-names use. The girls use this water to bathe together, after which Asuka borrows a dress from Black Rabbit that gives its wearer an additional aura of protection. The next day, all of them are brought to Gaspar's residence, which has been newly revamped with a tangling creeper forest and beastification magic. The rules, however, handicap the three to be unable to use their gifts, forcing them to defeat Gaspar instead using a designated weapon. After being confronted by Gaspar, who has turned into a demon tiger, Jin deduces from the surrounding magic to be of vampiric and demon nature, suspecting the involvement of another party involved. Recognizing their designated weapon to be a cross-sword speared in the wall, Yo distracts Gaspar as Asuka orders Jin to run away alone first, however inadvertently carting herself off with him. When Yo returns injured and collapses, Asuka returns to the residence, sets the place on fire, and lures him out of the forest. Recalling how Black Rabbit had tutored her to use her gift in controlling others' gifts as well, she uses the creepers in restraining Gaspar, commands the sword to give her its power, and kills him, winning the game. This causes all his slaves to be freed before Jin's vow to take down the demon lords, angering the vampire who cast the curse on Gaspar. Bringing Yo back to their territory, an unnamed man with black and blonde hair arrives at Shiroyasha's place. While Yo continues to recover, Black Rabbit discusses with Izayoi about their next step to rescue Letitia, a pure-blood vampire who was the former demon lord and comrade Jin had previously talked about. However, their conversation is interrupted by the vampire who assisted Gaspar, who is none other than Letitia herself. She apologizes for causing them trouble, as she only wished to know the extent of the children's powers, but concludes that their gifts are too unrefined to manage the community, and wants Black Rabbit to disband it as the gift game wagering her had been cancelled. Letitia's owner, the blonde and black-haired man named Laius, at Shiroyasha's place decides to attack the no-names using a gorgon that can turn people to stone with its rays. Letitia sacrifices herself to protect Asuka after Black Rabbit discovers she's lost her divinity and becomes an ordinary vampire instead during a gift game with Izayoi. Members of Laius's community, called Perseus, are sent to retrieve her and and Izayoi stops Black Rabbit from attacking them, choosing to speak with Leos instead at Shiroyasha's. Instead of betting Black Rabbit on the line, they choose to challenge Perseus to a duel after Izayoi earns titles from winning against legendary monsters, giving them the right to challenge any community to a gift game, despite being a no-name. The gift game involves invading Leos' fortress, and only those who can reach him without being detected win, but they lose their rights to challenge him. However, the guards all have gifts in visible helmets. Izayoi comes with a plan of having Asuka distract most of the guards using the water tree, while Yo gives way to him and Jin as they sneak past. Yo helps Izayoi and Jin obtain one of the replicas and steal the real helmets using echolocation. Instead of confronting them, Leos unleashes his trump card, a former demon lord under his control, turning all outside the Colosseum into stone, and attacks Izayoi, who easily overpowered it with his strength and defeats it by destroying its gifts with his unknown ability. Although Leos admits defeat and relinquishes Letitia, Izayoi gives him a chance to fight back in a fist fight, raising the stakes of the game where Perseus must wager their banner when they lose. He exiles Leos from being part of the Thousand Eyes League, taking down their banner, the Perseus constellation from the night sky. Letitia returns to the no-name community as a maid as gratitude for saving her. As they celebrate together, Izayoi vows to put their banner in the sky as well. Waking up, they find a letter that Black Rabbit has been trying to keep a secret, an invitation to the nativity of the Salamander Festival at Salamandra, located in the northeast district of the northern region in celebration of the coronation of their new leader, 11-year-old Sandra, who's also a friend of Jin. Finding out that there will be gift games involved, despite the high traveling costs, Yo, Asuka, and Izayoi run away to the festival with Jin and a little fox girl named Lily, leaving a note behind to Black Rabbit threatening to leave the community should she not catch them in a day. Seeking Shiroyasha's help in getting to Salamandra, Yo is caught by Black Rabbit as Izayoi and Asuka escape to the festival grounds as a chase ensues. Black Rabbit is challenged to a game where the winning party can order the loser to do any one thing of their choice. After Izayoi brings down a building that leads the game to a draw, military policemen of Salamandra, led by Sandra's brother Mandra, arrive to confront them. While with Shiroyasha, Yo is invited to participate in a gift game tournament known as Battle of the Creators, passing the preliminaries to advance to the finals. Since no one got hurt during the game between Black Rabbit and Izayoi, Sandra decides to let them go unpunished, to Mandra's disappointment in his hatred for the no-names. As an additional punishment, Shiroyasha requests that they protect Sandra by slaying the Demon Lord. Meanwhile, Asuka gets on good terms with the fairy from a community called Rattenfänger, going to an art exhibition where she's amazed by an armor made by the community themselves. However, she's attacked by rats that she can't control, having to be saved by Letitia instead. Since her gift of authority doesn't work on someone stronger than her, Asuka figures that someone is manipulating the rats and tries to become stronger, growing jealous of Izayoi's and Yo's physical prowess. During a meeting, Shiroyasha lets Black Rabbit judge the Battle of Creators the following day. Upon the announcement of the remaining participants' communities, Asuka is surprised to see Rattenfänger in the list beside No Name, Salamandra, and Willow the Wisp. Shiroyasha explains that the Rattenfänger, the one who manipulates rats, is related to a community called the Pied Piper of Hamelin, who once worked under a demon lord that summoned 200 demons and led to a community called Grim Grimoire, which got disbanded after losing in a gift game. After figuring out its roots, everyone concludes that with the assistance of Rattenfänger, the demon lord of Grim Grimoire will attack at the nativity of the Salamander. As they dismiss their meeting, Shiroyasha cautions everyone to be on their guard for any spy from Rattenfänger and protect Sandra, making Asuka doubt the identity of the little fairy with her. The Battle of the Creators begins where Yo is pitted against a member from the Will-O-the-Wisp community. Faced with an immortal demon, Yo surrenders, although she could ask someone for help from her community, not wanting to rely on others. Just then, Black Gias rolls start falling from the sky, inviting everyone to join a game. The aim of the game forces players to break the false law and expose the true legend, as well as forming a barrier around Shiroyasha that hinders her participation in the game. Above the arena are the members of the community, the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Izayoi, hoping to find their leader, randomly picks an opponent and ends up fighting Wessa, the embodiment of the Wessa River from the fairy tale. Letitia and Sandra also battle against Pest, a demon lord of the Black Plague in the story, as Asuka, Yo, and Jin try to figure out the cause of Shiroyasha's inability to join the game. Rathan, the embodiment of the rats from the story and the ones who attacked Asuka in the art exhibit, gains control over the citizens of Salamandra using her flute. Asuka makes Jin and Yo run away, wanting to beat Rathan, but loses and is lost. As chaos reigns over Salamandra, Black Rabbit uses her authority as Judge Master to put the game on hold and asks both parties to have a meeting. The No-Names try to confirm the details of the game from Pest, who's also the community leader and the game's host, but the rules are confirmed to be just and being followed due to the lack of details. While trying to find a schedule to resume the game, Pest reveals that she's spreading pathogens throughout the city to make people ill, threatening the No-Names to join their community Grimoire of Hamelin if they want to live. Deducing that this is a new community wanting more manpower, Izayoi bends the rules to allow Black Rabbit to participate in the game as well, postponing the game to a week's time. Meanwhile, Asuka is being held captive in a dark cave along with the little fairy. The lost souls of the 130 children that died in the story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin appear, asking Asuka to help them end the false law of the Rattenfänger in exchange for their armor, Dean, if she can make it submit to her in a game. After 4 days, Yo and the citizens of Salamandra are feeling the symptoms of the Black Plague. Izayoi visits Yo in her room to help her alleviate her boredom, trying to find out the truth behind the fairy tale. Due to them all being summoned from different timelines, many things happen differently, but there would be some unchanged, although there would still be the question of whether the Pied Piper of Hamelin they're facing is the same story they knew as the Black Plague is unable to kill the children in the story in a limited time, which creates a contradiction. Remembering that the Black Plague occurred in the 14th century after the Little Ice Age due to the weakening of the sun, and that Shiroyasha has control over the sun's activity, he realizes that the prerequisite for the game will not be met if she joins the game, since the Black Plague, which is a necessary part of the game, will not be able to occur when the sun is active. Izayoi also recalls the stained glass depicting the Pied Piper of Hamelin scattered across the town in the story. Following the riddle, they should break all the stained glass except for the one that depicts the true legend behind the Pied Piper. On the day of the game, Izayoi and the others scatter around Salamandra, breaking stained glasses of the false law. The Grimoire of Hamelin summons the village of Hamelin in a panic, changing the locations of the stained glasses and doubling their powers. Wesser, with his divinity activated, tries to take on Izayoi. Black Rabbit and Sandra fight hand in hand against Pest, while Jin and the others fight against Rattan and her ceramic monsters. Just then, Asuka saves them with her Dean at her command. Izayoi continues to fight against Wesser, the real Pied Piper of Hamelin, revealing that the Pied Piper of Hamelin appeared during the time the Black Plague was getting weak, and that the others were added later and were modelled after the Black Plague, ultimately provoking Wesser to fight and be defeated. Meanwhile, using Dean, Asuka battles against the Rattan storms and wins despite allowing her to play one additional song to control Dean. To buy time, Pest tells Sandra and Black Rabbit of her identity as the embodiment of the resentment and revengeful desire of the 80 million people that died from the Black Plague, wanting to have revenge on the sun, and hence Shiroyasha. Sensing her two comrades' death, her patience snaps, spreading a dark red wing of plague that kills anyone it touches. To stop the never-ending flow of sickness, Black Rabbit transports the fighters to the Moon Palace, weakening Pest's power. Asuka commands the full potential of the Spear of Indra that Black Rabbit lent her to defeat Pest, thereby ending the game. After the battle, Asuka meets with the children, who tell Asuka of another interpretation of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. In the story, the 130 children left their parents' home to follow the Pied Piper to a city where they would build their own community, the Rattenfänger. Deciding to return to their time, they leave her in charge of Dean and their 131st member, the little fairy that Asuka names Mirren. In the Salamandra Palace, Izayoi confirms his claims to Mandra that Salamandra had invited the Demon Lord Pest to the festival, staging her defeat, which can concrete Sandra's claim to her position as Salamandra spreads the news of their victory against the Demon Lord. With no excuse for the actions, Mandra lets Izayoi take his life in exchange that Sandra is kept unknowing, but Izayoi tells him that he would rather Salamandra to be the first to aid them in their time of need instead. At the No-Name community, everyone attempts to refertilize their land with the help of Merrin and Dean. Amid happy toil, a letter floats down before Izayoi with a mysterious seal on top. So, this is it for today's video. If you like the video, give it a huge thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Farewell till next time.